At some point, almost every guy experiences this. You meet a woman, maybe you talked a few times, maybe nothing even really happened, but suddenly your mind keeps going back to her. You replay conversations. You imagine what you should have said. You think about future moments that never happened. And the strange part is it doesn't feel voluntary. It feels automatic. This isn't weakness. It's not love either. It's your brain reacting to something very specific. The first thing to understand is that obsession is rarely about the person. It's about what the person represents in your mind. Most of the time, you are not attached to her. You are attached to the idea your brain built around her. Psychologically, this starts with uncertainty. The human brain hates open loops. When something feels unfinished, unclear, or unresolved, the mind keeps returning to it. That's why people remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, and attraction follows the same rule. If the interaction had no clear ending, no clear rejection, no clear outcome, your brain stays active. It keeps searching for meaning. It keeps trying to predict. That prediction process releases dopamine not because you are happy, but because your brain thinks there is a potential reward ahead. This is important. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. It's the anticipation chemical. It spikes when something feels possible but uncertain. That's why waiting for a message can feel more intense than receiving it. Your brain is not enjoying the moment. It's chasing the possibility. Now add emotional projection to that. When you don't fully know someone, your mind fills the gaps. You project qualities onto her that may not exist. Calm becomes depth. Mystery becomes intelligence. Silence becomes emotional connection. The less information you have, the more room fantasy has to grow. This is why obsession often happens early, not after years of knowing someone, but after limited interaction. The brain builds a story faster than reality can correct it. There's another layer here, and it's about self-worth. When someone represents approval you haven't received yet, your mind ties your value to their response. You don't just want her, you want confirmation. Confirmation that you are attractive, interesting, chosen. When that confirmation is missing, the brain keeps looping, trying to earn it mentally. This creates a feedback cycle. The more you think, the more important she feels. The more important she feels, the more your mind returns to her. At this stage, the problem is not her. The problem is that your attention has nowhere else to go emotionally. Your brain latched onto a single symbol of validation and refuses to let go. Understanding this changes everything, because once you see that obsession is a psychological process, not destiny, you stop romanticizing it. You stop feeding it unconsciously, and that's where control begins. To understand why this loop becomes so strong, you need to look at attachment and emotional grounding. People with insecure attachment patterns tend to fixate more intensely, not because they care more, but because their nervous system is more sensitive to emotional uncertainty. When connection feels unstable, the brain goes into monitoring mode. It watches, replays, analyzes, and predicts in an attempt to regain control. This is why thinking about her does not calm you down. It actually increases tension. Your mind believes that if it thinks long enough, it will solve the problem. But attraction and connection do not work like logic puzzles. They are emotional systems, not rational ones. Another important factor is scarcity. When your life lacks emotional variety, one person can easily become everything. Not because she is exceptional, but because she stands out against emotional emptiness. The brain exaggerates importance when options feel limited. Scarcity amplifies focus. This is why obsession often fades the moment new experiences enter your life. New conversations, new goals, new challenges. The brain stops clinging because it no longer needs to compress all meaning into one person. There is also a loss of internal center. When you spend too much time thinking about how someone sees you, you slowly abandon your own perspective. Your thoughts turn outward. You stop asking how you feel and start asking what she feels. That shift is subtle but dangerous. It turns attraction into dependency. Psychologically, this is called external validation seeking. Your emotional stability becomes dependent on feedback you do not control. The brain hates this lack of control, so it keeps returning to the source in an attempt to stabilize itself. This is why the solution is not distraction. Trying to force yourself to stop thinking rarely works. Suppression creates rebound. The more you tell your brain not to think, the more it checks whether you are still thinking. The real solution is redirection of identity. When your sense of self is strong, your mind does not cling. When your days contain meaning, structure, and movement, the brain relaxes. It does not need to obsess because it feels safe inside your own life. This is where confidence quietly enters the picture. Confidence is not convincing yourself that you are better. It is knowing that your emotional state does not depend on one person. When that knowledge settles into your nervous system, attraction becomes lighter. Thoughts pass instead of looping. And here is the most important realization. If someone occupies your mind constantly, it is not a sign that they are special. It is a sign that something inside you is asking for attention, connection, purpose, direction. When you listen to that signal instead of chasing the symbol, the obsession loses power. The way out of this loop is not force, it is structure. The first practical step is to stop feeding fantasy. Fantasy is not imagination, it is untested storytelling. Every time your mind fills in gaps with imagined scenes, imagined meanings, imagined futures, you strengthen the emotional attachment without reality supporting it. The correction is simple but uncomfortable. You replace imagination with facts. What do you actually know about her? Not what you assume. What actually happened, not what you hoped would happen. This brings your mind back from possibility into reality. And reality is always calmer than fantasy. The second step is emotional grounding. When obsession is active, your attention floats upward into your head. Thoughts race, scenarios replay, meaning multiplies. You need to pull attention back into your body. Physical grounding is not a metaphor, it is a neurological reset. Slow breathing, longer exhales than inhales, relaxing the jaw and shoulders, feeling your feet on the ground. These actions activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which tells the brain there is no threat to solve. A calm body creates a calm mind, not the other way around. The third step is restoring internal focus. Ask yourself one question whenever the thought appears. What am I avoiding right now? Often the answer has nothing to do with her. It might be boredom, lack of direction, uncertainty about your future, emotional stagnation. Obsession is frequently a distraction from something deeper that feels harder to face. When you redirect energy into growth, learning, movement, or creation, the brain naturally releases its grip. Attention follows meaning. The fourth step is social balance. When one person becomes the emotional center, imbalance forms. You fix this by widening your social field, more conversations, more environments, more human contact. Not to replace her, but to remind your nervous system that connection is not rare. Abundance does not mean excess, it means safety. And finally, acceptance. You do not need to eliminate the thought completely. Thoughts lose power when you stop resisting them. Let it pass without judgment. Let it exist without feeding it. The brain learns quickly when something is no longer rewarded with attention. This is emotional maturity, not suppression, not detachment, but regulation. When you regain control of your inner state, attraction becomes lighter. Desire stops being consuming and starts being enjoyable. You can like someone without losing yourself inside them, and that is the point. The goal is not to stop caring. The goal is to care without obsession, because when your mind is steady, your presence becomes steady too. And that changes how people respond to you without you trying to change anything at all. When your mind is calm, your conversations change automatically. You stop chasing reactions and start listening. You stop performing and start responding. That's why emotional control always shows up first in how you speak, how you pause, and how comfortable you feel in silence. In the next videos, we'll break down how this inner stability translates directly into better conversation, stronger presence, and real attraction. Because when you understand your own psychology, talking stops being effort and starts being natural.